Okay, I want you to picture something. Imagine a room, but it's totally transformed by light. And I'm not talking about harsh electric light. I mean the living, breathing glow of candles. You can see the flames just dancing, casting these long, soft shadows that make the air itself feel thick with purpose. This is that classic, almost 4K heritage image of a Shabbat table. You can practically smell the challah bread, still warm, resting under a beautiful cloth. You can hear the gentle sound of silverware, the deep, sacred quiet that just falls over everything right after sunset. It's a picture of perfect peace, right? A sanctuary carved out of time. But the Zohar, the foundational text of Jewish mysticism, it tells us to look deeper. It tells us that what we're looking at isn't just a tradition, it's a technology.
And that is the key that unlocks this entire thing. This weekly ritual, every single part of it. The candles, the wine, who does what. It's all a meticulously designed piece of spiritual hardware. It's a machine, but it's not built with metal and wires. It's built with actions, with intentions, and with sacred objects. And this machine, it's designed to interact with the very source code of reality itself, to run a program that literally alters the energetic operating system of the home and everyone inside it. Its whole purpose? To execute a controlled, deliberate download of divine consciousness from, let's say, the cloud of the infinite, right into the local network of our lives.
So the huge question we're diving into isn't just if it works, but how. What are the mechanics here? How does this table, in this room, on this one day of the week, become a functional portal? How does it actually bridge that gap between our finite physical world and an infinite higher reality? Well, that's exactly what we're here to do. We're going to decode it, piece by piece, using the Zohar's own blueprint. All right, let's get into it.
Think about it. Any advanced piece of tech needs an activation sequence, right? A power switch. Well, for the Shabbat system, that critical moment, the turning of the key, is the lighting of the Shabbat lamp, those candles that are lit just before the sun goes down on Friday. And this is not just symbolic. According to the mystics, this is the literal moment the entire system goes live. It's when the connection to the divine mainframe is established. It is the system's power on command.
Now, to really get what's being powered on, we have to talk about a core concept, the Shechinah. In Kabbalah, the Shechinah is way more than just some vague presence. She is the 10th and final divine emanation, the Sephirah of Malhut, or kingdom. You can think of her as the immanent aspect of the divine that actually makes up our physical reality. She's the divine consciousness that's woven into the very fabric of space-time, the presence that dwells inside our homes, our communities, and our own souls. So when that Shabbat lamp is lit, it acts like a beacon, a focused signal calling for this latent divine energy to wake up, to gather, and to manifest in a really concentrated way, right there in the space that's been prepared for her.
And the Zohar gives us this incredibly beautiful way to think about it. The home isn't just a house anymore, it's a sacred chamber, almost like a bridal suite. And Shabbat isn't just a day. She is a bride, a queen, the embodiment of the Shechinah herself. So all the preparation, cleaning the house, setting the table with your best dishes, cooking the special foods, that's all part of preparing that bridal chamber. We're making the home worthy to receive this holy divine presence. We're preparing for a sacred union. It's truly an act of profound love and honor.
So let's take that tech analogy and really run with it. Before the candles are lit, the home is like a super powerful computer that's just turned off. The local system is offline, the potential is massive, but it's all latent. There's a sort of spiritual firewall of the mundane, the energy from the chaotic work week, that separates it from the cloud of higher consciousness. But the moment that flame is kindled, boom, the connection is activated. The system boots up. It starts receiving a direct influx of divine data. And that firewall of the mundane? It doesn't just vanish. It actually inverts, its polarity flips, and it transforms into a portal for the sacred. The house is no longer just a physical building. It's now an active node on a cosmic network.
And this brings us to one of the most profound, most pivotal parts of the whole system. In Jewish tradition, the lighting of the Shabbat lamp is a duty that's specifically given to the woman of the house. Now, this is not some arbitrary division of labor. According to the Zohar, this is a core mechanical function. It's a responsibility that's tied to the very source code of creation itself, a cosmic engineering task of the absolute highest order.
And this is a perfect illustration of this idea of tikkun, or cosmic repair. The Zohar explains it in a three-step process. So step 1, the cosmic imbalance. The mystics teach that when Eve, the archetypal woman, took part in the sin in the Garden of Eden, she, in a very deep spiritual sense, extinguished the lamp of the world. That lamp was the primordial soul light of Adam, and her action dimmed the divine radiance in all of creation. Okay, step 2, the act of repair. Every single week for thousands of years, when a woman lights the Shabbat lamp, she is performing a profound act of tikkun. She is consciously fixing that primordial act, relighting the lamp of the world, and bringing back the light that was diminished. And that leads to step 3, drawing the blessing. This act of restoration is a direct honor to the Shechinah, the divine feminine principle. By doing her unique job, she opens the channel for blessings of peace, holiness, love, and life to just pour into the home. It's like a cosmic reset button, and she's the one who gets to press it every Friday night.
Okay, so the connection is active, the portal is open, and we've got this stream of high-frequency divine energy flowing into the home. But a download is pretty useless if you can't open the files, right? If you can't integrate the data and actually use it. So how do we absorb it? How do we integrate this spiritual data into our physical bodies? Well, let's move to the next part of the machine, the meal itself.
The whole principle here is something called one-egg Shabbat, which means delight in the Sabbath. And it's so important to understand this is an actual biblical commandment. This is not just a friendly suggestion to have a nice time. The delight itself, the sensory experience of tasting delicious foods, smelling beautiful spices, singing songs, being with people you love, that is the primary mechanism for grounding this abstract spiritual energy into a tangible felt experience. Physical pleasure becomes the very container for spiritual light. It's the medium through which the infinite interfaces with the finite.
And of course, the Zohar gets even more precise. It specifies that a person must have 3 distinct meals on Shabbat. And this isn't about just being hungry. It's a structured spiritual climb. Each meal corresponds to a different and higher level of the divine that we're connecting with. The Friday night meal is to honor the Matronita, the Shechinah, that divine bride we just welcomed. The Shabbat day meal is for the Holy King, her divine masculine partner. And the third meal, late in the afternoon, connects us to the highest, most mysterious level of all, Atika Kadisha, the most ancient and holy one, the superconscious will of the divine. It's a journey up the ladder of divine worlds, and we take it through the sacred act of eating. So let's go back to our tech analogy. If the lamp is the power switch that gets you online, then the meal is the user interface. It's the software, the app, that allows us, the users, to interact with, process, and integrate all that divine data that's being downloaded. The physical acts of eating, tasting, smelling, feeling pleasure, that's how our bodies, our own personal hardware, process this high-frequency spiritual energy. Without the meal, the energy might just stay abstract, kind of hovering in the room. But through the food, it gets encoded into our very cells, into our consciousness.
The Zohar even gives us a specific user instruction for this interface. It says a person should make a point of tasting from all the different dishes prepared for Shabbat. Now, this isn't about being a foodie. It's a mystical act. Each type of food, each flavor, corresponds to a different channel of blessing, a different energetic frequency from the Sifrat. So by tasting a little bit of everything, you're actually performing a spiritual act of unification. You are consciously drawing down and integrating a complete, holistic spectrum of divine energies, making sure that the blessing that enters you is balanced, whole, and complete.
And this part right here is absolutely critical. The system doesn't run on quantity, it runs on quality. The Zohar is crystal clear that the main driver of this whole process is your intention, your kavanah, and your conscious desire, your ratzon. It says even an olive-sized portion, if it's eaten with the focused desire to connect and receive this divine light, is considered a full and satisfying meal, spiritually speaking. The verse says God satisfies the desire of every living thing, not the stomach. So the takeaway is this: the intensity of your focus, of your consciousness, that determines the bandwidth of your spiritual download.
Okay, so we've covered the power-on sequence and the data integration process. Now, let's go even deeper. It's time to pull back the curtain and look at the Kabbalistic blueprint itself, the hidden schematics of this divine technology. How does the energy actually flow from these higher worlds and show up in our dining room? What are the underlying physics?
To get this flow, we need 2 key terms from the Kabbalistic tree of life. First is the Sephirah of Yesod, which means foundation. In our tech analogy, Yesod is the divine conduit. It's the high-speed, fiber-optic Ethernet cable that all spiritual abundance and life force flows through from the higher realms. The second is Malkut, which means kingdom. Malkut is our physical reality. It's the Shechinah, the home itself. It is the designated recipient, the local server designed to receive this flow. All the rituals of Shabbat are engineered to create this perfect, straight, unblocked alignment between the Yesod conduit and the Malkut server, allowing for this massive direct flow of divine energy straight into our world.
So, what's the quality of the energy flowing through this divine Ethernet cable? Well, the mystics connect the specific Shabbat flow with the number 13. This number represents the 13 attributes of divine mercy. So this isn't just generic life force. It is a specific download of pure, unadulterated compassion and loving kindness. It's an energy that actually transcends the normal laws of cause and effect, flowing from the highest levels of the Godhead to override the system's default programming of strict justice.
And where is all this supernatural energy going? It's flowing into the realm represented by the number 7. 7 represents the 7 days of creation, the cycle of our physical week, and most importantly, the 7 lower sephirot, which are the divine attributes that govern our emotional and physical world. Shabbat, being the 7th day, is the culmination of this whole structure. It is the Sephirah of Malkut, the kingdom, the 7th and final of these lower emanations. And on this day, Malkut is elevated, becoming a perfect vessel to receive all the light from the 6 days before it, perfecting the entire structure of our week with this incredible influx of divine mercy.
And this shows us the core alchemical process that's happening here. The Zohar teaches that the default state of our world, the regular weekday, is governed by an energy called din. It translates to judgment, or strictness, or limitation. We've shown it here in red. It's the energy of strict cause and effect, of boundaries and consequences. But when the Shabbat lamp is lit, that light acts as a divine catalyst. It doesn't destroy din, it transmutes it. The harsh, constricting red of judgment is sweetened. It's transformed into the expansive, brilliant white and gold of shalom, which means peace, wholeness, and harmony. The entire system rebalances, going from a state of strict justice to one of overwhelming, integrated love. And this transformation, it affects all 5 levels of our soul, lifting us from our mundane state into a much higher state of being.
So, we've activated the system, we've integrated the data, and we understand the deep mechanics of the spiritual physics at play. And that brings us to the final and, let's be honest, the most important question: what's the result? What's the tangible output when this divine technology is operated correctly? What do we actually get from all of this?
Let's use 2 detailed models to really get this. For a younger mindset, or maybe the kid in all of us, think of it like a video game. When the candles are lit, your home becomes a safe zone, like a sanctuary, totally shielded from all the monsters and chaos of the outside world. All the negative status effects are cleansed. The meal isn't just food, it grants the entire party powerful power-ups. Buffs like increased joy, new insights, and restored strength for the week ahead. And the whole family gets a kind of party-wide shield of divine harmony. Now, for a more adult mindset, let's call it cosmic engineering. The home becomes a localized temporal sanctuary, a node where the normal laws of spiritual entropy are suspended. It activates a controlled influx from a higher dimension, which then recalibrates and harmonizes the home's entire energetic matrix, distributing these sustained frequencies of shalom, of peace and wholeness, to everyone inside its field.
And these aren't just abstract ideas. The mystical texts list very specific, tangible outcomes. The number 1 output is shalom bayit, a deep, resonant peace within the home. Another is the blessing of a long and good life for the family. A particularly beautiful promise is that of holy children, meaning this ritual creates a vessel pure enough to draw down elevated souls neshamot from a higher source to be born into the family. It also provides active protection, that spiritual firewall against negative forces. And finally, maybe the most profound and personal output of all is the gift of an additional soul.
This is that famous concept of the neshama yetira, the extra soul. The mystics teach that for the 25 hours of Shabbat, an expanded state of consciousness, an extra portion of your soul light actually descends and integrates with you. We are literally more than we are the rest of the week. And this isn't a metaphor. It's the activation of a higher level of our own soul that's normally dormant. We get access to greater insight, deeper joy, more profound connection, and this pervasive sense of peace. We are, each one of us, personally crowned with a holy crown, elevated and temporarily transformed into a higher version of ourselves.
And that leaves us with one last big thought. We've just spent this time decoding how this ancient ritual is actually this incredibly sophisticated and powerful spiritual technology. It really makes you wonder, if a simple table, set with some light and food and intention, can function as a fully operational portal to a higher reality, what other parts of our lives, what other simple, everyday actions are also technologies in disguise, just waiting for us to find the user manual and figure out how to turn them on? Thank you so much for joining us for this complete journey through the Pardes. We really hope these ancient truths can help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week. If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please do us a favor and like, subscribe, and share. Which part of the journey really touched your soul in the comments below?
We'll see you in the next chapter.